Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome once again to the southern wing of the Stink Bug Works. Anyway, I haven't talked about boats much lately, and that's because this thing has been taking up my time. This thing. Now, this thing, hello, is a Gibson Les Paul, the holy grail of guitars. And to that I say, holy Shiite, Abdul, this isn't that great. I, for one, you know what? I don't care for the Les Paul design. I think the Les Paul leaves a lot to be desired. And I'll tell you why. Back when this guitar was originally invented, and it was, 1954 or something like that, that the Gibson Guitar Company made, or Gibson Musical Instrument Company made guitars and mandolins and the like. Acoustic instruments. And then along comes this guy, Les Paul, that says, hey, I can put a magnet with some wires around it, and we can play this thing through an amplifier. And Gibson said, oh, okay, cool. And they collaborated, and they came up with this. So what's so bad about this? This is an acoustic guitar. It's not an electric guitar. It's an acoustic guitar that somebody put electronics in. Look at this, for example. Look at the joint between the body and the neck. It's this big, ugly thing that when you're playing it here, it's freaking in your way. Lately, Gibson has gone to modifying this and making it decent. But the original design, this is an acoustic guitar neck stuck onto a solid body. An acoustic guitar neck would just be a little thicker for the body of the acoustic guitar. But it's the same style neck. And additionally, just like an acoustic guitar, the neck is not level with the body. It leans back to allow the bridge to be way up here, like on an acoustic guitar. And just like on an acoustic guitar, the headstock has an angle here to give it some brake tension over the nut. Well, that's what you do when you build an acoustic guitar. But now let's look at this a little closer. This is a cover for a steel rod that goes in here, and it goes through a hole. And right where this joint is, there's a whole lot of wood that isn't there to make room for this rod. So with this neck leaned back and this headstock leaned back, what happens when the guitar falls down? What's the first thing that hits the ground? The end of the headstock. And what's the weakest point? Right here where there isn't a lot of wood. And 50% of all Gibsons have broken the headstock, and the other 50% will. Watch Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock in, not Woodstock, but Monterey Pop Festival. I think it was 68 or 69, somewhere around there. He's trying to break a Fender Stratocaster, and he can't until he finally puts his entire body weight into it and smashes it on the floor. Had he been playing a Gibson, all he would have had to do is toss it on the stage and it'd break. They used the technology of the day, which had the neck set up like this. You look at a Fender guitar, the neck is flat with the body, the headstock's flat, the pickups and the bridge are all down low. So when you drop a Fender guitar, nothing happens. And then people will say, oh yeah, well a set neck is much better. Yeah, a loose-fitting joint with a big wad of glue is better than tightening and crushing the two together with screws. There's an argument for each. But when you break the headstock off of this one, the entire guitar is trash. If you break the headstock off a Fender, just put another neck on it. There you go. So anyway, I've been doing shielding on this thing. This guy that owns this thing, had me do all sorts of stuff to it. You know, another nut, got to have these black tuners, had to put in this whiz-bang Jeff Beck 27-tone Blasto 5000 circuitry. And, of course, now it buzzes when it gets near a RF source. So I got to pull all this out, and I'm grounding and shielding all the cavities and grounding them all out and having to go through all these hoops to keep this thing from buzzing. And so that, boys and girls, is why I haven't had time to work on boats. But I will say this, I am going to run the JetStepper with the yellow motor. I think it might be too much power because the last motor I had was almost too much power. You know, I could blow it off the water if I tried. So I think this new motor may be too much. So while it's cheaper at $6, I may have to go with the $17 motor and live with the added expense of $12. Oh well, so be it. Okay, boys and girls, until next time, jet out. Welcome back, YouTubers, for this little epilogue to today's video. Look for the JetStepper to run with the yellow motor. It ran pretty well with this motor the other day, and look at the size difference. That's going to be considerably torquier. You know, I mean, just look at the size of the magnets on the can, and it's a higher kV, so this may go into the frisbee zone far too much. This may wind up being the motor of choice. Nice that it runs really cool, and so this might be the motor of choice, and you can probably step down to a 10 or 12 amp speed control with this. I don't think this 18 amp is necessary. I think the current draws on this are going to be so low that it'll be fine. So anyway, look for this next Monday. It all fits under the hatch, so it should be good to go for testing. Okay, jet out.